Hello everyone and welcome to Cause Marketing Summit. My name is Kenny Thacker and I am the creator at Create. Culture is a relevant element to achieve total equality. Today I'm very lucky to be hosting the second episode of this short series that we're working with Cause Marketing Summit, and I have these incredible women to the left and right of me today to talk about all good things cause marketing related. So you guys are going to learn a lot. I advise you to pull out a pen and pad because there's going to be a lot of great things shared here today. So we're going to start with them introducing themselves because they can do it way better than I can because, you know, women are smarter than men. So we will start to my left.
I am the Senior Director of Brand Citizenship for the United Nations Foundation and also the Director of one of their brands, which is the Shot at Life campaign. So I'm really excited to be here and excited that, Kenny, you're here too to learn a little bit more about cause marketing.
Okay, so can you tell us, because that's a long title, right? So what does that mean? Like, what do you do?
Sure. So the UN Foundation is a really interesting place because what we try to do is take all of the really amazing work that the UN does in developing countries around the world, and we try to make that relevant to everyday people. And what that means is really creating brand appeal around some of these global issues. So what I was tasked to do about 5 years ago was to start a brand about global childhood immunizations in developing countries. We knew that children were dying because they couldn't get access to these vaccines. So the Shot at Life brand was created 4 years ago, and here we are 4 years later with an award-winning brand that has multiple partnerships and multiple constituents and supporters behind it.
So it's literally like cause marketing.
Yes.
So if you guys were ever wondering what cause marketing is, you just got part one. We're going to move over to part two.
Hi, my name is Jenn Richey. I'm the founder of the Cause Marketing Summit. But by day and year-round, I'm the Associate Director of Corporate Partnerships for Young Survival Coalition. So I work with brands to help elevate Young Survival Coalition and fund support for young breast cancer survivors.
And last but not least, definitely not least.
Okay, great.
So tell everyone who you are and what do you do?
My name is TaKeesha White. I am the Director of Networks and Coalitions at the New York City Department of Health for the Division of Mental Hygiene. And I'm also the lead advisor for the Cause Marketing NYC Summit.
So I'm just going to stay with you right now, Keisha. How did you get started in this field? How did you get started? How did you even find Jenn? Because Jenn, you know, is like everywhere.
Oh my goodness, it was serendipity one day. No. So Jenn and I had the awesome experience of working at a startup nonprofit called the Partnership for Healthier New York City. And Jenn was really all about doing communications and building an amazing kind of collective, cooperative communications platform for this organization that was really an umbrella organization for smaller partnerships all across the city, and actually one in each borough. And I was doing community engagement for that. And so we had to work very closely together to make sure the messaging and the programming and the events kind of aligned. And it also just so happened that we aligned and we worked really well together. And so we just continued to work together.
Mm-hmm. Jenn kind of has that thing to her, right? She just tells you everything in one day, then you're like, okay, we're best friends. She just has kind of that
TMI.
thing. She just kind of has that thing about her. Jenn, if you could briefly explain to everyone what the Cause Marketing Summit is and why they should get involved.
Sure. So the Cause Marketing Summit is a one-day conference in New York City now, and it's from a full day, and really anyone who's a socially responsible business person, if you work at an agency on creative campaigns, if you work in fundraising. This is really a day dedicated to learning about partnering with non-traditional partners and understanding what not only cause-related marketing is, but also what it means to be socially responsible as a corporation and how to engage sort of some of the communication tools that nonprofits don't typically utilize, such as influencers. We have a really wonderful panel of influencers and how you can help spread your message by tapping into those folks. So it's kind of part communications, part nonprofit, and then part networking, because the most difficult part of this is meeting the right people. So this really affords us an opportunity to all be together in one room and get work done and learn side by side and go through this process together. So, and really it's, a lot of power in numbers. I can't say, what I expected to come out of the very first year. I don't think anyone could have predicted it, but I haven't had a conversation, and maybe Keisha can attest to this, where someone hasn't had between 2 and 10 follow-up meetings, follow-up campaigns, job offers. It's just been a really, really fantastic experience, and I'm happy to be doing it again.
Now, this is the second year.
This is the second year,
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, great. So I'm gonna move back over here to my good friend Devi. You started your current job about 4 years ago, right? 5 years ago. During that time, when was that moment that you felt like this is where I want to be and I'm doing the right thing? Like I'm all in, like all cards are up on the table and you're like, yep, this is what I'm gonna do. Tell me about that feeling, that moment.
So I'm actually going to say that moment started before I started the job.
Okay.
I had a call from the UN Foundation, and I was at the time consulting for Cone Communications, which is a very well-known cause marketing agency. And when I got the call from the UN Foundation and they said, we want to start a campaign around global childhood immunizations, I sort of took a moment and I said, well, have you ever thought about an audience of American moms? And I had a 4-month-old at home at the time. And they said, well, now that you bring it up, that's one of the audiences we're going to be market testing. And then we sort of started brainstorming on the brand name right there. I started talking about Bill and Melinda Gates and the decade of vaccines. And it was just a very natural, organic fit. I had worked on a lot of causes in my career. I've been doing this for 15 years. I've worked in safe drinking water. I've worked in, raw source mining. I've worked in areas around global health delivery. And this was really a moment where I said, I think I'm going to go at least waist deep on this one.
Oh, great. I mean, wow, that's blew me away because it sounds like you are already, I think the universe had it already planned for you, and it's amazing how things like that work out and how you're able to just kind of go to work every day and not take a gun, That's always great. So Keisha, I just want to jump over Jenn and talk to you really quick because we discussed this the last show and I definitely want to discuss it again, and Jenn and I kind of talked about it here and there, but we're dealing with, when it comes to millennials, do you think there's a crossroads between millennials and cause marketing?
A crossroads? Of course. I mean, I feel like millennials are cause. They're all about cause. Millennials are about truth, be real, be transparent, and action. So they're not about the games. They're definitely like a BS, no BS generation. And so cause is all about that. It's all about what are we really doing this for? Is it meaningful? Is it going to make an impact? And how can I be a part of this in a real way, in a way that impacts my life, but also impacts those around me? And millennials are all about that. They're all about connecting in a broader network and outside, at a global scale. So for sure.
I also feel like millennials are very transparent. Everything is just out there, right? Everything. Regardless of how long it lasts on the internet. Mm-hmm. Good and bad, right? Yeah. Good and bad.
Well, millennials are creating that space as well.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So they're determining it, creating it, and pushing and encouraging other folks to be intergenerational about it. So that's another thing about millennials. Millennials are not so much just about their generation. They're about intergenerational communication, connectivity, and forwarding. So, yeah, for sure.
I think they believe that every marketing campaign should have a purpose.
It's just a way of life.
Right. It's a way of life. And it's about knowing your purpose and being your purpose. And that's exactly how millennials operate. And it's the next wave, exactly how businesses should be thinking too.
I just had a conversation earlier with the founder of Boy Meets Girl. She's on our influencer panel, and she aligns with our causes in cancer and in bullying. And a young woman reached out to her and said, your brand is like me. This is how I want to show up in the world. These are things I care about. And I think that that's a really interesting place to be in, where not only people are saying, oh, I wear this and it's Tommy Hilfiger or it's Donna Karan. It's no, I've aligned and I really enjoy your brand from a very intrinsic place. So yeah, very authentic. Just it speaks to them, and I know that millennials and younger people in general know that what they wear and what they do says a lot about who they are. So I think that it's definitely not lost on them, and it's certainly something very important.
Totally. I totally agree with that. Now, this next question I have for you in particular, Jen, is that, and we discussed it obviously last show, but I'd like to get your take on it, is if there was a measuring stick on how nonprofits and NGOs could align themselves with different brands, like what would that criteria be?
I think it varies. I think it's so specific depending on the brand or depending on the nonprofit, and you really have to, anytime you're entering a partnership, do a gut check and make sure that there's synergy and it makes sense on the surface. I think when we're speaking about young people, they do want you as a brand to stand for something. However, they do want it to make sense. So it's always important to answer that sort of why question before partnering. And then in terms of a measuring stick, I have a matrix that I won't go in depth with you about, but it's really about what is the value exchange between the nonprofit and the brand that we're looking at, and also what's the risk involved. We're going to be talking a lot about risk at the Cause Marketing Summit, because it's certainly something that you need to think about whether you're aligning with a brand or an influencer. Sort of, what they do is sort of who you are and vice versa, and it's really important to determine what your measuring sticks are. I'd say there really isn't one, but to determine what's important to your brand and make sure that, especially from the nonprofit side, that you're not doing something that could be counterintuitive to your mission just for a donation. So I'd say, alignment is super important.
Mm-hmm. So I'm going to jump back over here to Devi. My next question for you is, since you've been doing this for 15 years, right? 15 short years. But that doesn't mean that you're old. That just means that you're really good at what you do, really. So we were just speaking about how transparent millennials are and everything like that. What would be your marketing advice or cause marketing advice for nonprofits to leverage social media in their marketing techniques or tactics?
Yeah, it's so interesting. I actually don't think that digital communications or any kind of social media tactic is now just one spoke on the flywheel of an integrated marketing model. It is the model. So we fundamentally start with the baseline of what our digital communication strategies are going to be, and layer up from that on traditional media, on stakeholder engagement, on influencer strategy, and everything else. It's literally the baseline. The other thing I would say is storytelling is in the DNA of every cause. The reason that we are so good at what we do as causes in telling the story, not just of the people that we impact, but of the people that we are getting involved. The donor story is critically important as well. Those stories, in my mind, are better told through the social media channels we have today. That 30-second clip, that 16-second video is essentially going to be the thing that makes the next donor talk about it. In any cause strategy, what you want is to make sure other people are talking about your cause. You don't want to be the one endorsing it. You definitely don't even want your corporate partner endorsing it publicly. What you want is the consumer, and you want the donor, you want the constituent to be out there talking about it, and social media gives you the avenue to retweet as many times as you want.
That's a great answer.
And blogging, I think maybe Debbie, you want to talk about the bloggist.
So one of the things I'm going to talk about at the Cause Marketing Summit next week is a really unique opportunity where I went to a blogger conference. I'd never been to these conferences before. It was a mom blogging conference. And when I'm sitting there in the audience, I heard this amazing woman talk about how she'd been blogging for years and just doling out parenting advice. She would have a sleepless night one day with her child, and she would get up in the morning and she would just, blog and write about what she'd experienced. And she loved comments on her blog. She thought comments were her currency. And she loved when people shared her blog. And so I thought, well, this is this great community of influencers. Each of these folks probably has a readership of 1 million, some more. How can we get them involved in our cause? And we came up with Bloggist. Now, Bloggist is an award-winning blog relay for good that happens every August. And what happens in Bloggist is every day a blogger owns that day. She posts and she passes the baton on to another blogger the next day. For every share that happens of a blog post during the month of August, a donation is given to the UN Foundation and to the Shot at Life campaign. And this is usually a corporate partner that's coming in. It's a win-win situation. We're driving readers to the blogs, driving comments, driving shares, we're driving donations, and we're making sure that the corporate partner gets mentioned on some of the best blogs in the country.
And this is only U.S. based, or is it international?
Well, it's a blog, so anybody anywhere can read it.
True.
So we have writers from many parts of the world, and most of them are U.S. based.
Okay, interesting. Keisha, question for you, because just to tie back on this whole blog stuff and people writing stuff and everything like that, what advice would you give a nonprofit organization as far as getting aligned with big companies and big brands? Like, what advice would you give that type of an organization, like if they're starting out, let's say?
I'd say, like, really get re-inspired about your why, so that you have like the courage and the guts to like step out and start those conversations. Just like really sit down and get really clear about like what brought us to the game in the first place. Like, why is this still important? Like, why is the fact that my heart is still moved to come to this space every day and advocate for this cause still important? And get so clear about that you can draw in and enroll people to be on your team or on your side and ready to pull. So I think that's really the advice. Like, you guys you care about just this work. You come to work every day. Your efforts matter. You were drawn to this work for a reason. And that reason, for some reason, it still exists. It's still important, and we haven't solved it yet, and we need more support. So like, come on board. And like, when folks get like passionate about it, like just get back to the core about why. I think that would support that effort in stepping out and connecting with the brands. And not only that, but then it will demonstrate the authenticity, like, to the brand, where they can be like, okay, you're not just out, like you were saying, looking for a partnership. Like, you're really serious about this. This is meaningful, and you have your why so crystal clear that we can see it too.
In speaking about young people and everything like that, there's probably a young person, or just a person, period, doesn't really matter how old or young they are, that's watching this and is probably looking into getting into cause marketing. And this is a free-for-all question. So what advice would you give that young, gifted person looking to get into cause marketing?
I'll take that one. I say just stay hungry and just learn everything you possibly can. I know Debbie mentioned Cone. Back in my days at MTV Networks, I did an entire deck, pulling together all of our cause platforms, and really I just dug deep into all the Cone research and learned on my own. I didn't have the budget to go to some of the larger conferences that are out there, so I really just, delved into the internet, looked as much as I could in finding, and also gain the experience that you need to be in the space. I think it's somewhat easier an entryway, and I should say my entryway was through communications and marketing, and that was my natural, talent and sort of what I had experience in. But then I was able to parlay that into cause-related marketing by learning more, by doing more, and really just starting from scratch and failing forward. And I was lucky enough that YSC took a chance on me, and they saw that the Cause Marketing Summit was a real success. So I think the more meetings you have, the more conversations you have, and the more information you can gather. I will also mention that Northwestern University, they're one of our sponsors this year, and they do have a master's program dedicated to integrated marketing and there's a focus on cause marketing. So there are programs out there if you're looking to go the educational route, but if you're looking to pivot, I'd say a great opportunity is to come to the summit. And I don't mean that as a plug, but really these are people who are charged around this topic. And you can certainly touch this topic from a lot of different angles. You can touch it from the agency side, the nonprofit side, the corporate side. So, just try to get as much experience as you can and talk to people and watch shows like this and reach out to people like me. The community is really welcoming. It's just a matter of, introducing yourself and getting your feet wet and just getting started.
I agree. I think I would say, be original, be unique, and don't be afraid to insert purpose in every conversation you're having. So you might work in financial services and be sitting around a boardroom at Citi or one of the larger firms, and you might think, my job has nothing to do with social responsibility, and you'd be surprised how that sneaks into every conversation that that you can have in the workplace. So
That's great advice.
Great advice. And on top of that, purpose, I think you always need to inject it with a full amount of passion, because life without passion or purpose, you're just straight up dead, at least in my opinion.
I want to say too, to be playful, like I'm goofy, like I'm a playful person, and I think about the things that I like to do, like you were saying, be unique, and it's also like be your inner kid, like be playful, be curious, be creative, try things that you like you know what I mean? You like b-boy dancing on the platform, think about how you can integrate that in something. Like think about what like really you like and be fun about it. Have fun with it.
Exactly. So we got purpose, passion, playfulness. Write those down right now, people. All right. So this is a question that we ask in all our interviews, and that's basically, and this kind of ties up everything pretty much. But if you could pick a song or a movie that speaks to your life right now, what would that be? And this is a free-for-all question, so everyone has to answer this question.
I'm gonna have to always go back to Mary Poppins. I love Mary Poppins, straight up. And like, for real, like my jam in Mary Poppins is just a spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down. And like, I'm down with that. Like, that's just like, I like to bring that playful edge, that smile, but there's still some things that we have to really work on. There's a lot of work to be done. And so there's gonna be a need for medicine. Yeah. But like, yeah, I'm down for that. And Mary Poppins is my jam. She's my role model. Love you, Mary, wherever you are.
I never knew that.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So I'd say Jay-Z's "You Can't Knock the Hustle." I think that's my go-to when I'm feeling down, or when I'm feeling like people aren't on my side and things aren't going right. I think I've hustled so long and so far to get to where I am that you can't knock the hustle. You really just can't. So just to keep on moving and hustling and doing what you do, and eventually you'll meet wonderful people like I'm surrounded by today, and like we'll be at the summit. So yeah, I'd have to say that's, and I'm always hustling. So it's that'll have to be my song.
All right, can't knock the hustle. Can't knock her for it. It's a great song.
So, I actually talked about a cause brand that I helped create, Shot at Life, and so I'm going to go with Hit Me With Your Best Shot.
Nice.
Because I just love the play on words, and I do think sometimes that this particular, mission-driven marketing particularly is a little bit about taking chances, and most of it is also about making sure that you know how to roll with the punches in a big way, and it's negotiating and partnerships and relationships at the end of the day, and so it's all about true impact. So I believe that's probably the best song.
All right, so all of you just heard 3 great songs that you need to put into your playlist right now. Hopefully you can find Mary Poppins on Spotify. But Keisha will send it to you, or she'll sing it herself. So I mean, I think those songs all definitely can impact and change your lives and keep you on the right path. So I'd like to thank all of you for being here. And I'd just like to add one song to the soundtrack, if I can.
Of course.
And it's a song that someone actually mentioned to me, but it's All Day by Kanye West. And I think Cause Marketing and K.R.E.A.T.E is about doing this all day. There's no breaks. It's just about hard work and hustle. And as long as you keep that in the center of your life will have center. And my name is Kenny Thacker, and thank you guys so much for watching this great episode. Hopefully you took a lot of notes, and we'll see you on the next Cause Marketing Summit.